Let me guess, you signed up for every free lead magnet and binged on every marketing YouTube video and thought, what am I missing? Why isn't my business exploding like that? Well, I can tell you, you're not alone. Whether you're just getting started or have an established business, entrepreneurship can be really lonely. But it doesn't have to be. Overcoming your fear of launching or building your personal brand or figuring out how to scale, it shouldn't be holding you back. It should be empowering you. On this podcast, we're going to deep dive into the mechanics of what it takes to build your brand, make your mark, and stake your claim in the digital marketing space. I'll be chatting with people from all walks of life and stages in their careers. I will be getting inspiration from real experts who will share their actual strategies and techniques to grow loyal and raving followings and sell more stuff. This is entrepreneurship from people who are already there making it happen. My name is Jeff Mendelson. Join me and welcome to the One Big Tip podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Jeff Mendelson, and this is the One Big Tip podcast. And today I am very excited to have Ob Wallace, the co-owner of Dandelion Branding. Dandelion is a digital marketing agency that specializes in organic marketing for sustainable brands. So Ob, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming here. I'm really excited because you and I did a virtual summit last week. And that's how we came on each other's radars. I was really impressed on the presentation that you made. Can you just talk a little bit about that, about the presentation that you made, and also what do you do with Dandelion Branding?
Sure. So I'll start with Dandelion. We work with people or small businesses that are just getting started or that are growing a brand and really focused on growing a brand. Typically, we work with brands that are focused on sustainable products or functional or holistic medicine, and we prefer to work with people that are either that have a business and are just getting started with their branding, or that are really just getting started. In terms of, we met at that virtual summit, which was really lovely to talk about, and I talked a little bit about why you need a welcome automation when you're building a brand. And I could probably talk about email marketing and email automation for hours. Not probably, I definitely could and have. But essentially the message is that when you want to be recognized and when someone gives you their email, you need to introduce yourself. Even if they already know who you are, or you assume that they already know who you are, they don't, they won't, and they might not remember. This is especially true if you are not emailing on a really consistent basis. So when someone gives you their email, that's pretty personal. That's a personal in to their face and their inbox. So make sure that you introduce yourself with a welcome automation.
So, that's really interesting. So part of your niche is dealing with sustainable brands, right? So sustainable brands aren't necessarily known for their technology prowess or their expert marketing. Sometimes they need a lot of help in terms of getting the message out.
Yes.
It's basically a demographic. It's like, hey, I came across this really great product, or I make something that's going to really, really help people and help the environment, but I don't have a lot of experience in marketing. And that's where you come in, right?
Exactly. So I am a certified clinical herbalist, and that's where my interest in sustainable brands and people that are focused on ethical business practices and things that will not harm the environment in their processes came from. So, I walk into when my business partner as well is really brilliant in working with these sustainable product brands, and when we walk into a call or a client relationship, we already have a lot of information about sustainability and how to speak to the people that are interested in sustainability. So when I was in herb school, I really loved to be a clinical herbalist. I loved to take clients, but I was also working at this awesome sustainable skincare company, which is where I met my business partner. And I noticed after I graduated and got my certificate that herbalists and people that are so focused on making the world a better place and have these big let's change the world and solve real problems, that they kind of just suck at marketing. And in this world you can't suck at marketing and get your message out and solve big world problems. So I changed my focus and as a clinical herbalist to work with other clinical herbalists and other people in sustainable products and functional medicine doctors and things, to help them get that message out.
So that's really interesting in that one of the things you did as noticing that these small businesses had a legitimate need was to put together the tools and the processes that they will need in order to be successful and in order for them to get the message out. And that's actually your one big tip, right? Is how to put together and make sense of the logistics of automation and managing the project, which is marketing that
Right.
product. I was wondering if you can go through a little bit of some of the tools that you use to enable these companies in order to get the message out for their clients.
Yeah, I'd love to. I started my specialization in email, and I wanted that I wanted emails to be growing. I'm a writer, and I wanted those articles to be read. So I learned this organic marketing. And one thing you learn really quickly with organic marketing is that it doesn't end. You have to keep posting content. It has to be consistent. And for a small business, my own too, there's only two of us that work there. If you're working on tomorrow's post, it's stressful and you're in a scramble and you can't solve the problem because you're too busy trying to get everything done. So my one big tip is really to automate as much as possible and reduce the scramble. And the best way to do that is by using apps that that help with that. For one is email. We used Klaviyo. I think a lot of places. I've also used Mailchimp, an Active Campaign, Bronto, and Virtual Response, and a few other ones. But I find that Klaviyo is the easiest to use once you get really into it. You can segment a lot easier, and the flows and the automations come together so easily that as long as you have your segmentation right, it takes a lot of stress off of you.
So, do you think that using Klaviyo is just the interface and the way it's set up is better for the types of companies that you're working with? Because I know ActiveCampaign can get a little technical. Mailchimp can be a little too simplistic for some people.
Yeah,
Does Klaviyo strike that balance for you?
it does. Klaviyo is also pretty technical. I haven't used ActiveCampaign in a couple of years, and I know they've made huge strides in their user interface in the past couple of years, which is wonderful. But Klaviyo has a really wonderful user interface, and they also give you the data and the segmentation options that they'll blow your mind. I think for me, because my specialization was in email, I need to use a robust platform that can do a lot of tagging and the right type of segmentation, the right type of automations, and to have those options to really go deep into helping people make money with their emails.
Okay, so all right, so interesting. So you have this. So one thing is to manage the email automations, but there's so much more to it than that, right? So you also need to manage the project or the entire marketing plan.
Yeah, you do.
So how do you do that?
We use Asana. We actually wrote an article. The way that we make choices when we have in our structures is that we do research and we'll write articles, or we have a podcast and a video and a blog. And so we will both, and Courtney does our vlog on our YouTube and I write our blog. So we'll both independently do our own research and then write about it and share that as content, and then come back together and make a choice. We had been using Trello as our project manager, but she convinced me to do research into Asana because she was all about it. And that article is like Trello versus Asana versus Basecamp, I think was the other one we were looking at, is still an article on our website you can find. And it just goes, and we just did the research. And so we now use Asana to manage basically everything. We build a strategy, and from that strategy, we build a calendar, and then we input that calendar into Asana as a weekly deliverables. We and then we just each week schedule time in our own schedules to go through those weekly deliverables.
So not only do you have Asana set up for your own internal tasks, but that's also managing your client tasks as well. Do you give clients
We
access
sure do.
to your Asana? Yeah,
They
and they go in and they use it and comment and all
They
that?
sure do. So when we run our Asana and our weekly deliverables the same way that we will with our clients. So a really good example is the herb school that I graduated from is one of our clients, which is wonderful. They and so they have access to their own Asana board. They can see everything that's coming because the marketing calendar goes in there, and they can see, say we're going to post about this over the week and we're going to do these posts and this is the blog article coming up. But they also have separate columns that say this is the agenda for this meeting, and we can go in there and both every party can input exactly what the agenda is and we need to talk about. We can keep notes in there. It's a pretty robust system, but it works very, very well to keep us in line and to share information with our clients, because transparency, especially in marketing, is super important.
That's actually really interesting that you say that, because you have this when you're putting this when you're putting together this marketing plan, it is so important. It's so paramount that you have all of the stakeholders, both your clients and whoever they designate, down the line, and your team as well. Everyone's got to be on the same page,
Yep.
right? Usually what I tell my clients is that I don't care if you're across the street or halfway around the world, you're remote to me,
Yep.
and we need to find a way to communicate effectively. And
Yes.
using these tools like Asana, Trello, Teamwork, Basecamp, whatever it is, this is what's going to keep everyone in line
Yeah.
and keep everyone honest and date stamp and put everything in chronological order. It just makes everything so much more
So much
organized.
easier. You're a teamwork guy. You like teamwork a lot.
I got into Teamwork because I was using the original Basecamp. And what happened was, when they went to Basecamp 2.0, they dropped the one feature that I was using heavily, which was the time tracking tool.
Okay.
And they just came out with this message saying, "Look, it's time to move on. We're going to build this new tool in our vision, and time tracking is not part of it." So it didn't fit for me.
Hmm.
And Teamwork, which is based in Cork, Ireland, was up and coming at the time.
Okay.
And it was great because with Basecamp, I would send them a question, right? Their technical support, and basically their technical support was like, "Yeah, we're not really interested in that. Thank you very much, though."
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and Teamwork, I could send them something at 9 o'clock in the evening US time, which is like 3 in the morning in Ireland, and I
Hmm.
would get a response back within 20 minutes. Like, "Hey, Jeff, that's a great idea." And then I would see the thing fixed like within a day or so.
That's
And I was like,
awesome.
"Okay, that's it." And I just became a fan. And I've been with them now for a good 6 7 years. And I have no reason to go. I have so much invested in that now. It just works. And I have so many you can open up tasks via email, you can integrate it with Zapier, you can integrate it with Slack, you could just integrate it with everything.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm sure all the others could do that as well. But this is the one that, it's the infrastructure that I built for my business. And Asana is also it's also a big contender. So that's a great platform to be on as well.
Yeah, we're always looking at platforms, but one of my least favorite things is platform migration. So unless there's like a real reason to do that,
Like them shutting down.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had that happen as
Or
well.
like with Basecamp, I they the founders of Basecamp wrote a book, Rework, and
I read it a
So
couple times.
yeah, it's a really good book, but I'm still not on board with their product. Like I agree with them, but I'm still not down with Basecamp, you know?
I think what it is that if you read the book and you internalize the processes and the methodology that they're putting out there, and you take what works for you,
Mhm.
right? Let's just use another example, the 4-hour work week
Yeah.
by Tim Ferriss, right?
Mhm.
Everyone read that. It's like, oh my God, yeah, I'm going to get a virtual assistant. I'm going to automate everything. And I'm going to move to Argentina and become a tango guy. It's like, no, you can't do that. Right. Some of us have families, some of us have partners, you can't just go and run off and just do whatever.
Right.
What I did, at least with that book, was that I took the parts that applied to me
Mhm.
and applied it to my business. I mean, I don't think I'll ever be at a point, at least now, where I'm going to be able to go on a yacht for 4 months and not check in. But I've already implemented a slew of tips and
Yep.
processes that are suggested in that book. And that book already came out like, what, 10 years ago already.
Yeah.
And it's still alive and relevant today.
Totally. It's great. I also like the book Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, and I can't call to mind who wrote that right now. But that's a really good one too.
I'll be sure to research it and put it into the show notes for this so that people can, so that we can link to it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's great. Thank you so much for that. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you and how they can reach out to Dandelion Branding for more information?
Sure. You can email me. My email is actually Aubrey, Aubrey, at dandelionbranding.com. You could also email info@dandelionbranding.com because that hits both Courtney and I. We are easy to find. If you just search Dandelion Branding, we come up. In Google, our Instagram is dandelion_branding. We have a Facebook group called The Curious Marketer, which is really great. And we have a podcast that's called Off Brand. And we basically just don't talk about digital marketing. That podcast is all about just us having conversations about the things that entrepreneurs deal with emotionally as they're as they're going through building a brand. So, and we cover one topic every week. It's kind of just a lot of fun for us to play around with.
So I wanted to take a minute to thank Aubrey Wallace for being with us here on the show. Wouldn't you know it that Zoom dropped out on us right as we were saying our goodbyes? And I wanted to let you know that next week we are going to have a new episode with another great interview. So please be sure to tune in. Thank you very much for joining us.